This is Stephen Kotler, and you're listening to Your Superior Self.
This is Christina Rasmussen, and this is Your Superior Self.
Hi, this is Dave Meltzer, and this is Your Superior Self.
Hi, I'm Anita Murjani, and this is Your Superior Self.
Hi, this is Paul Selig, and this is Your Superior Self.
What's up, everybody? I'm Aubrey Marcus, and this is Your Superior Self.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back. I'm Trey Downs, and this is Your Superior Self. Thank you for taking the time to hang out. Excuse me while I drink some coffee. In honor of today's guests, I'm up early, getting after it, because these two women that are coming on the show, Laura and Nicole, get after it every weekday morning at 5 o'clock. They're up going live on their early morning experience show on YouTube. They also have a podcast, the Ask More, Get More podcast, which I was a guest on. Very inspirational guests on that show. Very, very informative. They have a great relationship, those two, and you can tell the chemistry is phenomenal when you listen to an episode. They know exactly what they need to be talking about, and they have a lot of great life experiences and ideas that will help you along your path. And I said I had to have you guys on the show. Like we just hit it off. It's like those two friends that you guys are destined to be great friends, and you meet them and you're like, where have you been my entire life? I mean, these girls are out there doing great work, out there helping awareness about mental health issues, about societal issues, things that we need to pay more attention to. And they're great people, so it's just like an easy conversation. I lost total track of time when I was having this interview with these two ladies, and I'm very, very blessed to be able to have them come on the show. Like them, I have, from my podcast, I've been able to grow as an individual and raise my awareness and consciousness about life and everything that's encompassed in that. And I'm just so grateful to be able to have great guests come on the show like Laura and Nicole, and be able to have a conversation about topics that are dear to me, that are very relative in my mind, that we need to be more aware of, that we need to be more conscious of, and how do we chart those waters? How do we get through some of the situations in our lives that really are just kind of sticky, that are very mucky and hold us back? And we actually talk about that a lot in this episode. And to demonstrate that, here's a little preview. Shout that
Focus on what you want. Focus on what you can control. Quit worrying about what you can't.
Well,
it sounds simple. Obviously,
it takes a lot of practice. Every day, you have to consciously decide that you're going to wake up, be thankful for the fact that you're still breathing, and decide what you want your day to look like, who you want in it, and the things that you want to accomplish. Until you start waking up like that, you're just going to sit and worry about what's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun conversation, because a lot of people can relate to the content we talk about. But before we get into that, I want to bring more awareness to what I'm trying to achieve, and that is my efforts in what is called sacred activism. That is coined by the poet and author Andrew Harvey, which I highly recommend. He's a mystic, grew up in India, went to Oxford, very well known in Europe for his works and his mystical texts. Definitely check him out. But sacred activism is bringing awareness, or working towards, or being a service towards what breaks your heart. And what I mean by that, like, think about all the things in your life, all the things that you care about, everything that matters to you, and what is it that breaks your heart to see? Mine is children suffering. I don't care what time of day it is. I don't care what the context of it is. I cannot stand children suffering. And I want to start bringing more awareness to the groups and organizations that are doing good out there. And I want to mention them on the show. So if you guys have any great nonprofits or organizations that are doing good deeds, that are really trying to help children suffering, or help families get shelter or feed or clothe or protect the innocent, I really want to hear about it, because I want to put that out there for them. It doesn't matter what state or country they are in. I really want to bring more awareness about their efforts. And today I want to recognize the Baltimore Hunger Project that helps feed the city children in Baltimore. And they're doing a lot of great work. And I just want to read real quick about what they're accomplishing. So after years of providing thousands of lunches to homeless women and children from her garage and giving back to Baltimore in varying different ways, founder and executive director Lynn B. Kahn realized that solving poverty is complex, but feeding children is not. So with dedicated volunteers, Baltimore Hunger Project, BHP, has been keeping kids full in the classroom since November 2014. In its earliest days, BHP served 30 children in 2 elementary schools. Today, BHP, Baltimore Hunger Project, is providing over 600 meals to children across 23 Baltimore City and Baltimore County schools. It's a real thing. You don't think about that, but even during this COVID pandemic, a lot of children needed support because they got most of their meals during lunch. A lot of state-supported programs that the city schools provide and county schools provide for the children and students that go to these schools. They were not able to get some of those benefits, which is food and shelter and just a place to be a normal kid for a day, and they didn't get that. And Baltimore Hunger Project has been working tirelessly during the pandemic to make sure that these children are fed and have food in their stomachs. And I want to bring attention to that, and I want you guys to help them out. I want to bring awareness about children suffering around the world, and I want to recognize projects. I want to recognize nonprofits and organizations that are doing good work. So go to baltimorehungerproject.org, donate. I am going to donate as soon as I get done with this episode. $25. You would not believe what you can do with just $25. $25 feeds a child on the weekends for an entire month. $100 sponsors a student for a full semester, and $250 sponsors a student for the entire year. So think about all the food that you're giving this one child and what you're allowing them to receive. That you're letting them receive nourishment, hope, and love just by going to this website and donating what you can, and allowing these good people at Baltimore Hunger Project to distribute that food to different counties and kids in the city. And they're experiencing love from afar. So great job over there at the Baltimore Hunger Project. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this, and I really hope that we can make a change together. But this is something that I care dearly about, is trying to bring more awareness to children suffering. So yeah, do what you can. Much love to you guys, and let's get on with the episode. So without further ado, here are the ladies from Bear Slate, host of the podcast, the Ask More, Get More podcast, and the Early Morning Experience. The great and powerful Laura and Nicole.
Hey, this is Nicole and Laura from Bear Slate.
And this is our superior selves.
You girls kill me. You guys are the best. First off, I want to say thank you for coming on the show. Even though you're in Canada, it is late. It's 9 p.m. You guys, this is the first time you've ever recorded outside of normal business hours, banker's hours. I appreciate you two coming on the show. This is going to be a good time.
Listen, there's no way we would say no. And not only because it's you, but Trey, I don't think you know this, but you were a catalyst to changing our lives.
Oh
So
yeah.
we owe you.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
owe
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Catalyst. All right, so let's talk about that. Like, how did your life
Okay.
change?
Tell everyone about you.
Wow.
Just tell me more about me, please.
Let's talk about how great Trey
Let's
is.
talk about
I
how
can do
This
that.
is good.
We
It's good,
can
it's
do
good.
that.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay, Nicole, where did it all start? We had a fabulous
Well-
conversation with Trey on our podcast.
Yeah, so many, many months ago, Trey was on our show, the Ask More, Get More show, where our tagline is, you are one conversation away from changing your life. And Mr. Downs came on the show, said all the beautiful things, wowed us, wowed
Yep.
family members. And Trey
Yes.
told us,
Laura's mom.
Laura's mom
Yep.
loves
How you
Trey.
doing?
That's right. It's good. And
Yep.
it was during that conversation, Trey, that you mentioned Dr. Joe Dispenza's book,
Oh, okay.
Breaking the
Yeah.
Habit of Being Yourself. And at the
Mhm.
time, Laura and I had not read it yet.
Mhm.
It took us a few weeks to get to it because Laura and I read a lot of books together, share the learning,
Mhm.
interview smart people. From the moment we
Mhm.
cracked that thing open, we went, okay,
Wow.
stop
Yeah.
it, stop the world. We need to
Yeah.
dive
What about
into
that?
this.
What about that book? Like, what was it that changed
Well,
our lives?
I think the
So
day
much.
that changed our lives was, I remember texting Nicole and saying, we really need to break the habit of the things that we do.
Mhm.
And I, I said to her,
Just say it.
and of course I went to two extremes. I said, I'm either going to wake up and chug 2 liters of Pepsi or Coke and, smoke a reefer. Or,
You're so
right?
old.
Or, am I old? Okay.
Terminology.
Or I'm going to start to meditate and do yoga.
So I
Because
said,
those would be
I
two
said-
extremes.
maybe we meditate and do yoga. Let's start there. Then we can
let's
get
go
into
off
the
on a
sugar and the alternators.
But, yeah. And then I thought, what could we do that would really jolt us out of being us? Obviously, we know that we're not going to chug 2 liters of soda in the morning. But I said to Nicole, I said, why don't we take the advice of another guest of ours, which was Dr. Ben Hardy, who says, you make or break your morning between 5 and 7 a.m. And sort of the combination of it all, I said to Nicole, I'm going to ask you something and I hope you say yes. And she said, well, of course I'm going to say yes. What is it? And I said, well, will you get up with me at like 5 a.m. and learn something every day? Because I can't do it by myself. And she's like, yeah, okay. And we started doing that. And it was so fun. It reminded me of, we both were very competitive athletes growing up. And, when you're a competitive athlete, you're up in the dark and you make these bonds with people that you train with. That's very different than the things you experience in adult life. And we decided that, hey, why are we doing this by ourselves? Let's start sharing it with everybody. And we started going live. And it was because of this book that you recommended that we pick up and read, that got us to the state where we are up early in the morning and we are taking advantage of the minutes that we didn't know we had.
Yeah.
And it's
If
crazy.
you add those
It's
up, you think about
crazy.
you add those hours up, what it amounts to. It's like a whole
It's a
nother week.
lot.
Like,
If you get up 2 hours early, because most
Yeah.
people get up at 7, that's 14 hours in your week. Hello.
I'm proud of you girls. Look at you.
We are new. I'm not
Right?
kidding. That conversation changed our life. It has changed the trajectory of our physical health, our mental health. We are learning so much. Our relationships are better. Our business is better.
That's awesome.
It's
better.
bananas.
That is bananas.
We're
Yeah.
so happy.
You guys ready for some more truth?
Do it.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
have
no.
been.
What's next?
So the meditation stuff, I'm loving that. So I'm getting up at 4:20. I don't know why 4:20. Maybe it's the
Nice.
reefer.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right?
maybe it's the
Love.
reefer. 2 liters of
we
cola
talk.
and reefer.
right?
I get up.
Get it done.
Yeah, I set the alarm at 4:20. However, I will not lie. I sometimes hit the snooze and I get up at 5. But I
Dare you
meditate
be
because
human.
you are in those conscious states, right? That you're coming out of deep sleep. So you're hitting you're coming out of theta. You know, and so I go immediately and meditate. And I tell you what, the world that I experience when I'm meditating is like crazy. And after I meditate, then I go for my run. And that's when I challenge you guys to run and knock down some miles. And Laura's daughter went out there and grinded out at the dog park and miles and feeling some of those endorphins. If she's listening right now, I'm so proud of you right now. Like you're on that path of success early, and I love it.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you what, like I've been on this mission of like trying to lift the veil and try to get into this deeper knowing of oneself, that higher consciousness. And I picked up, I don't know how it happened, but I picked up like Ram Dass's books. And I don't know if you read him at all.
Okay, here we go.
No, but I'm gonna write it down. This is
I feel
the
it 2021 coming.
The 2021 shift. Who is it?
Ram Dass. So he is the guy. So he is originally, I don't know when he changed his name, but he was known as Richard Alpert. He was a Harvard professor, psychology professor, who him and Timothy Leary and Ralph Metzner wrote the Psychedelic Experience, which is basically like a manual based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And it's basically talking about LSD and their trips and what they experienced. And so
I feel like he was on Joe Rogan for some reason. It sounds familiar.
Maybe. I don't
Maybe
he might have. But Richard Alpert became Ram Dass, which became he's a spiritual leader or advisor. But his teachings, I've never felt more at home, right? Like everything that I've been reading, I've read Bob Monroe stuff. I've been reading Thomas Campbell, who has this theory of everything. It's very scientific. Like, so Bob Monroe has these out-of-body experiences. He was able to produce them with this technology called HemiSync, which is basically binaural beats, which you put in your headset, and it's
so good.
Have you guys doing that?
I have been doing them for a long time. We are baby meditators, though.
Maybe
we're just getting into that.
They're great for, not just meditation, but like with studying and stuff like that. Like it helps.
That's what I used to use it for, is for work. Yeah.
But he was able to use those to create alpha theta states and go into this out of body experience. And he would be able to go out to these different realms of reality, I guess you want to call that, or consciousness, and come back with but he approached it at like a very scientific level where he's bringing back data and collecting it. And he's not trying to make it very subjective. He's trying to make it very objective. And like I was trying to do that, but then I approached, or I found, I should say that I stumbled upon Ram Dass, and I've never felt more at home when it comes to spiritual enlightenment.
Cool.
Yeah, because he was all about LSD, and he talks about that. He talks about human suffering, right? Like that feel good feeling you feel all the time, and then all of a sudden you're always trying to like with enlightenment, like even through meditation, and always trying to, like, me running, trying to feel those endorphins all the time. Like I'm trying to get in those states. I'm always running from the suffering. I'm always running from the depression or an anxiety. And he teaches how to be in the moment, but recognize it, that is just a part of being human. Like the suffering never ends. It's the freedom. The freedom from the suffering is having an open heart to that and accepting it. And I don't know. I just started reading his stuff and write his name down because he's been a game changer for me.
We did. I know that she did. I for sure did.
It's already in the Amazon.
Right? It's in the cart.
It's in the cart. Yeah.
So
no, you're right though. There was a talk I was watching today by Dr. Coleman. He was on impact theory, and he was talking about how at the University of, I forget, I apologize, but it's the studies they were doing on Tibetan monks that were master meditators, and how their brains, and it's funny, he actually used the term Olympic level brains in meditation. And the brain chemistry is different. The physiology is different. They've worked and practiced to a level where certain parts of the brain were lighting up in the absence of a external trigger. Like, it was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So there's definitely something to all of this, which I think is what we're so drawn to as well.
Yeah.
Well,
You'll go ahead.
Yeah,
Laura,
no,
go
I'm
ahead.
just going to say there's just so much of our brain that we don't even use. I mean, there's so much.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So of course, right?
Oh.
As soon
Well,
as we start to tap into it.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've grown up so programmed, where we've been conditioned to expect the cause and effect of life, to
Mhm.
expect the cause and effect of society, that we're always going to experience these things if we follow a certain path, right?
Mhm.
And it's not until you get older, or until you, I mean, not even older, but until you realize for yourself that there's another way. And and when you stumble
Totally.
upon that other way, it seems like you're insane, right? Like I feel like I'm
It's
kind of
true.
insane.
You're a rebel.
Like I'm always questioning. I'm like, is this
Yeah.
the thing that's going to make people look at you and say that you're psychotic, or is this the thing that's going to make you look
That
crazy?
means you're on the right path.
Exactly.
I am now old enough and wise
Exactly.
enough to know I know nothing, and that's good.
I just got off a call with Dr. Fleet Mall, and his story's amazing. You guys should definitely reach out to him and have him on your show. He discovered meditation like early, like I'm talking high school. And like in high school,
Wow.
I can't even imagine what, like in high school, I was so involved with the ego. Like,
Sure.
like I didn't know an ego was a thing. I just thought it was me. I thought the I of the ego was me. I felt like I was so emotionally like triggered on everything, right? I mean, even being a teenager, I mean, you're automatically going to be triggered on, I mean, come on, you think about it, like your hormones are raging, like something, right? Like, but it's it's all about the curriculum here on earth, right? Like is being a human and being able to I guess just learn from the emotions, right? Like don't push it away, because that's the suffering, right? Like always pushing away from the suffering because you don't want to feel bad. It's just accepting that it's there, feeling it, and knowing it's not you. I think that's the biggest takeaway.
For sure.
I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I am mildly obsessed with emotions. I think that emotions drive so much of the actions that we take as human beings. And when we can actually start to recognize and really assess the way that we think and look at the triggers that ignite different emotions, it's at that point when we can really have conversations with our inner voice. We can really find where we're comfortable and how we start to interact with the world. And that is the place to me where all things start. It's, Nicole's going to laugh because my favorite saying now is I never imagined that I would love thinking about thinking as much as I do. But when you start to think about thinking, you start to understand how many emotions there are, and not just emotions themselves, the different types of emotions that come.
Yeah.
And it has been definitely for us a big journey. Nicole and I have learned so much through our conversations with everybody who's been so great to share with us. It's just understanding that conscious mind that we have and actually using it more than the subconscious. And I think that is where the game starts to change.
Totally.
Well, you know what's crazy
true.
is like seeing the emotions and knowing that there's a chemical reaction associated with that, right? Like your body is doing that.
Exactly.
Like there is something going on that you're attached to that is creating these emotions from the chemicals. And it's like, until you see it, right? The observer, I think Ram Dass talks about that. He's like, he has a patient that's very depressed, and he's like, are you depressed? Oh, I'm very depressed. Is there any part of your body that's not depressed? No, my entire body is depressed. Can you see the depression? Yes, I can see the depression. Well, is the observer depressed? He's like, no, the observer is, I'm just observing it. And then this light clicks, and it's like, I'm not the body. I'm not the depression. I am the observer.
Yep.
It's crazy. Like, it's just crazy.
No, it makes so much sense. There's been some talk, and I know, and again, just because I watched it today, so it's fresh in my mind.
Oh yeah.
The conversation with the psychologist, it's Daniel Goleman. He was talking about trying to introduce emotional intelligence into the school curriculum, And the way he was discussing it, because again, like until we're in our, I think 25, our brain hasn't fully developed and fully formed, right? We know this, but giving language and a way for kids to start identifying their emotions and how they feel so that they can observe it and shorten the refractory period between being angry and then staying angry and then sort of spinning in those intrusive thoughts about anger until you eventually build the habit of being angry. And now all of a sudden your personality trait is that of anger. So giving kids language. And he said something today that was so brilliant. He was talking about teaching kids as young as 5 that when they start to feel like their tummy feels a bit sore, they can feel like they're starting to feel angry. That means that the guard dog in their brain, which is the amygdala, is starting to perk up because it's sensing danger, which is going to be the amygdala hijack. And so the kids now refer to it as the guard dog. And they want to tell the guard dog to sit down so that the wise old owl, our prefrontal cortex, can take over and make decisions instead. And so he's using these amazing analogies and animals to help kids understand what's going on. And I'm listening to this going, I need to talk about this on our show because we grown-ups need this analogy as much as the kids do.
The old owl.
Just right?
Let's
The
leave it
wise
up to
old
the
owl
owl.
and the guard dog. I thought it was brilliant.
It is brilliant.
But
Have you listened to Carol Dweck at all?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Carol Dweck?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's like a goddess.
I know. She's amazing.
Carol Dweck, I love her work, especially like the praise. I just did a research paper on types of praise on children, right? I didn't know like the difference in the importance of like process praise as opposed to person praise, where person praise is, for example, for my son, I would be like, that's a good boy. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Son or whatever. And then process praise is, good job, hard work. You know what I mean? Like you did an excellent job at that painting. And it's kind of building that motivational framework down the line. Totally. And there's so much data that supports that a process praise is the preferred method of praising your children because it helps them become more motivated, have that motivational mindset down the road. And it's just
absolutely.
This is why psychology is so fun because it's like,
right?
Like it's like I don't know. That blew my mind when I read that. Carol Dweck was like the pioneer of like motivational mindsets, and I never knew who she was. Her TED Talk's phenomenal.
The language of everything she does is phenomenal.
Yeah,
she's such a brilliant woman, and just the language. You're absolutely right. It's the language that we use to describe what's going on. I heard somebody, and it escapes me who said it at the moment, who said that when we're giving kids pass or fail grades, we're just training them to look at their accomplishments and attempts as good or bad. And then they said, imagine instead of getting a fail, you got a not yet, as in you haven't gotten it just yet. It means there's possibility still. There isn't an end game, because outside of school and academics, we're not told pass, fail, good, bad, but you have that inherently. Sorry, Laura, I cut you off a bit there.
No, not at all. I think it was Nicole Lux who said that from Dynamine. Amazing person. We learned a lot from her as well. But I think the thing that it fascinates me the most is that it's so simple when you actually see it. It's unbelievable. The number of times that I've said, oh my God, that's so obvious. It's so simple. And it's so true. Like, I mean, Nicole and I have had a lot of conversations about how 2021 is going to be simple. We're just going to keep it simple. And the power of simple is unbelievable. When you think about, if we're always striving towards that shiny reward, and that reward is always the thing that is recognized, the experience of the journey to actually achieve it is where we find all of our value, and where we build relationships, and where our struggle lives. And without struggle, you can't feel success. So ultimately, that big shiny trophy, it should be irrelevant. It should be all of this, the suffering and the challenges and the things we learn and the things we fight through that develop us at the core. that should matter.
Sure.
And when we can encourage our children and incentivize them in that space, they perform so much better because they have so much more pride. And we as adults, it's exactly the same. It's great to be able to brag that, oh yeah, I got this or I did that. But really, when our time comes, it's the experiences that matter the most to us, the relationships we build. It's not what we have in our possession. It's the things that we've managed to grow along the way. So it makes sense.
Well, the biggest joke too is we all think like checking the box of getting the thing, achieving the thing. It doesn't even feel that great once you get there. That's the arrival fallacy, where you think the world's going to be magic and unicorns and flowers and I've made it and my life is perfect. And you get there and you go, this is it. Okay, now I need another thing. I need another bigger, better thing.
Yeah.
No, man, just enjoy right now today, because you are not promised tomorrow. The three of us will be lucky if we wake up tomorrow. And that's the truth. You are blessed to be breathing.
Absolutely.
That's something else we learned in the last year.
The trophy, that success, even if you get there, it lasts what? I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Well, it's
you know, like the journey is the reward, the hard, like you were talking about, Laura, like the success is but a minute and a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And it's so hard though. I mean, that's why we're here, right? It's to have that awakening, that awareness of like, holy shit, I've been working towards the wrong thing my entire life. It is, I am supposed to be, I'm supposed to be, how do I become more in the moment is what I want to be. How can I, you know, Ram Dass talks about that. He's like, how can I have an open heart in hell? You know what I mean? How can I enjoy the moment, even when it is the worst?
It's true. Think about it. That 2 minutes you get of, oh my God, this is amazing, I did the thing, is 2 minutes. Maybe it's an afternoon. Maybe you get a party that night to celebrate your big thing. But for 3.5 years, you've been working towards this one point in time. Are you miserable for 3.5 years and that 2 minutes is worth it now? No.
Yeah.
Like that, it's backwards, or it's, you know, enjoy the whole thing.
It's backwards. Laura, you said something earlier. That really piqued my mind, or interest, I should say. You said something about the inner voice.
Yeah, I call mine the dark passenger.
The dark
passenger. Like, do you have conversations?
We don't like him.
With the dark passenger?
Always.
Yeah.
Argue.
Always. Yeah, we always do. It's that inner voice. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to have to validate this statistic somewhere, but 85% of the thoughts that my dark passenger has are negative. And so we spend a lifetime changing that. So when we think about it, our first initial thought when going to approach anything is often, oh, I can't do that, or it's too hard, or is it going to be worth it? And should I bother? You know, it's always something negative. I'm going to fail, or they're going to laugh at me. And when you can start to have the conversation with that inner voice and start to control it and start to change it, that's when you actually really start to change. It's paying attention to that inner voice and really recognizing it. And one of the things that I found helpful is naming it, just like Nicole was talking about, you know, that the wise old owl, it's recognizing something, naming it. And once you name something, you can then control it. So my dark passenger, who gives me a hard time all the time, which is my inner voice telling me that I cannot succeed at life, I have now very good control over. I still hear that inner voice of doubt. But for me, it's a very soft whisper. It doesn't even bother me anymore. Because I have chosen to walk away from fearing judgment. Like, and you know, it's that classic saying in Think and Grow Rich, right? It's, you can tell the world what you're going to do, but you need to show the world. And in order to show the world who you are and what you want to achieve and what you want to do, you have to be you. And you can't do that until you can control your inner voice.
I love that. What have you named your inner voice, Nicole?
I haven't, actually. I just go with dark passenger as well.
We just call her the dark passenger. It's the how's your dark passenger?
It's that little creep on your shoulder that says,
Yeah.
you can't apply for that promotion. What are you thinking about? What are you doing? You can't wear that dress even though you love it. You can't go running 7 miles. Who do you think you are? You're not doing that. It's
Yeah.
that little creep that's telling you all the things you can't
Little
do.
creep.
Yeah, it's like
he's a little
Sneaky
creep.
Pete, man.
That's
Like
his
Sneaky
name, is
Pete
Creep.
creeps in. It's
Hey,
like
Creep.
whatever, you know. It's
Gotta
like
go.
you're not going to tell me that I can't do that. You know, you're not going to tell me that I am a loser. You know, it's not going to work.
Mhm.
And you remove the power from that. And that, you know, I learned that just studying why people have anxiety and how to move past anxiety. It's that park passenger, the Sneaky Pete, or the, you know, whatever you want to call it, that just shows up and tells you can't do anything,
Sure.
that you suck, or that you're
Yeah.
a loser. And so much of us, you know, especially as children, we listen to it and we believe that. And it's not true, especially those who aren't raised with amazing parents who are encouraging you all the way. You know, there isn't anyone else to listen to when you're a kid if you don't have someone in your life who's a mentor or a coach or a role model. And I think that recognizing that, yeah, we all have that inner voice. Some of us have an outer voice,
Totally.
but and it's okay. It's okay to be a little strange. Like, who cares?
Absolutely, it is. You know what? If you spend any amount of time with someone that is over the age of, I'm going to say 70, and you listen to these wonderful older people talk about regret, you will very quickly say to your current self, and right now you're the youngest you're ever going to be, you're going to say, I do not want to sit in 30 to 40 years from now with regrets. Why on earth would I do that?
Oh.
Like, for me, that's what keeps me going. I spent a lot of time with like grandparents and older people when I was in my teens, and I heard the stories because no one pays attention to you when you're a kid in the room. So you get to listen to everything. And one thing I picked up on was, oh, they regret not doing that. They don't talk about the stuff they regret doing. They regret the things they didn't do and the chances they didn't take and things that seemed so risky and dangerous right now, like moving to another state. I couldn't possibly. You look back and think, I was nuts. Why was I scared to do that?
Yeah. I think there's a saying, isn't there?
that.
Like, fear knocked on the door, faith answered, and there was no one there.
That's good.
I think it's something like that. I don't know, but I named mine ego. Mine is ego.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
Yeah.
guys are
Oh,
baby
sure.
meditators.
Yep.
So I've been able to all right. So I look at meditation or I look at it as my mind is the ocean, and you're never going to be able to get rid of the waves. It is always going to be there. The thoughts are always going to be there. But if you go deep enough in the water, it gets calmer. And it gets to this place where it's just, it's like dark. It's got like, there's fish that light up and there's freaky. And those are like the crazy thoughts.
I'd panic.
Yeah. You freak yourself out. But if you keep going further, I feel like you connect with that intuitive part of yourself, like that connection that is connected to the higher conscious self, like the superior self. That is, I've been able, like, it's crazy. And I'm a little weird, but I'm telling you right now, some of the advice that I get when I connect with that voice has been the best advice I've ever received in my life. I mean, it is, I don't trust myself enough. I think that, it always tells me that I'm always going external for my answers when I should be going internal. Who knows me more than myself in my heart, right? Like, who knows me more than that? And, it talks about fear and how it's fake. And, you only fear what you think is going to happen. And most of the time it doesn't. And so, like, you should be able, you know what I mean? Like, you should be able to go out and experience life to the fullest and know that this universe supports you. Like, you are exactly where you need to be. Like, exactly where you are is where you're supposed to be. No matter what you do, you're always going to end up at the same space, like same spot, at the end of the line. We're all going to die eventually. And how we get there is all the same, but you need to enjoy the moment that you're in 100%. Like, don't worry about the past or the future. Like, the ego is trying to make you think of that, like the Dark Knight. right?
Yeah, man, it's
Yep.
the dark
The
passengers.
dark passenger is there
Yeah.
telling you, chirping, like you don't,
Yeah.
Laura, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why are you
It's
doing that?
true.
Look at you guys.
Look
You
at
guys are going live
all
at 5 a.m. in the morning. Like you guys are
6. Hold on.
6
We're
a.m.
up at
morning.
5.
But you know
Live
what,
at 6.
Trey? All roads lead to time. I'm
Mm.
going to tell you that
It's
from my life experience, it all comes back to time. And it's how we look at the minutes that we have, how we use the seconds that are available to us, and how we use that conscious mind to determine what we want our future to look like, and what world we want to live in today. And you had asked, how do you maintain and sustain that when there is a world of chaos outside your front door? And to me, there are a couple things that you can do. I mean, because Nicole and I are always about taking action, find some way to take action. The first thing that I would do with that, or that I do with that, is recognize that the time that I do have, the time that I have when I am not in any kind of danger and I am in a safe place and I am with the people that I love and I am making the choices that I know are going to fill my bucket, like sitting here having this conversation with you. This is an investment of my time because I know this conversation is going to mean something to me and that I will take something from it. And it's an investment, and I love it. And so if I spent my life worrying about what was going to happen to me when I walked outside of the door and the chaos that's happening outside, I would then be preventing myself and from allowing myself to experience things like this. And that's not to say that I'm not going to be responsible for what's happening outside, because the best way to feel confidence in control in what's happening in a world of chaos is actually doing something that's going to contribute to stopping the chaos. And so then again, where am I investing my time that's going to prevent the world from turning into something that I don't want my kids to live in? Right? So then I start to invest my time into things that I can control, because so much of our life we can't control. And so many of us waste so much time trying to change things that we have no control over. So when we can start to control our actions and how we invest ourselves into this world and how we choose to invest our time, that's the only way that we're going to affect the things around us.
Free will.
Yes, free will. Absolutely.
Free will.
But it's also controlling your controllables and not worrying about the ones you can't.
Yeah, I love that. Let's just highlight. Can we say that again? Like, can we just shout that?
Focus on what you want. Focus on what you can control. Quit worrying about what you can't.
Well, you can't.
It sounds simple. Obviously,
it takes a lot of practice. Every day, you have to consciously decide that you're going to wake up, be thankful for the fact that you're still breathing, and decide what you want your day to look like, who you want in it, and the things that you want to accomplish. Until you start waking up like that, you're just going to sit and worry about what's going on.
Yeah, that projecting, right? That projection of that positive energy, like, right? Like, so Dr. Joe Dispenza is all about that, right? Like what you project is what you receive, right? So you put that positive energy out, you get in that meditative state where you're putting out those positive thoughts. Yeah, of course, you're going to experience the one-offs, the negatives, all of that stuff. But it's how in those moments, how do you repel that? How do you get around those negative thoughts, or how do you get around that negativity? It's by being more positive. And a lot of people struggle with that because they feel like they are their bodies. They feel like they are those emotions. And it's, again, being emotionally intelligent and realizing that your body is releasing those chemicals in your body because of the situation that your brain thinks it's in. That fight or flight response, and your body's getting flooded with chemicals that put you in this anxiety state, and this is why you're feeling that. And you're attaching yourself to some point in this moment, and you need to detach. Like, you need to detach yourself from it, and you need to realize, just be aware of what's happening. That's all about meditation, mindfulness, awareness. And that's what Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you? So you guys read that?
Yeah.
You need to read
We
his
love
first
Joe.
book.
You know what I find
know.
fascinating? Nicole and I talk a lot about the cement pathways that we create,
Mhm.
the
the
ones
neural
that we just,
pathways paved in cement.
That you can't break because they've been there for so long.
Well, they are breakable. That's the thing. And we can
Mhm.
smash those buddies, just
Totally.
get that machine out,
Jackhammer.
get rid of those and start paving new ones. That's the beautiful thing
Yeah.
about this,
Neuroscience, I love it.
It's just so it's just incredible, imagination, creative emotions, all of these things that we have the power to create.
Mhm.
They pave new pathways so that our thoughts move more freely that way versus going down the old pathway.
You know what I've been
And
doing?
it can
It's
happen
kind of crazy.
quick.
Yeah, it happens quick. It happens. It's been happening forever, and then that's why I'm 37, and a lot of the things that I've been doing for 37 years, those concrete neural pathways are just they're hard to break, but I mean you can do it, right? Like I've been writing left-handed. I'm a right-handed writer, so I've been practicing writing like poetry or something with my left hand because for those who don't know, if you're right-handed, the part of your brain that operates that is on the left side. So if you're right-handed, most of the time you're very left brain, analytical mindset. And if you're left-handed, which you'll see, it's so weird. You'll see this a lot in the movies, right? Like you'll see a lot in the movies where people are left-handed writing something. And it's kind of crazy if you think about it, because that means they're right brain people, which is more creative, which is kind of cool. But I've been trying to break those neural pathways by writing with my left hand. Now I'm not writing something professional in left hand. Let's make this completely honest.
I want
here.
a painting by Monday.
So I'll write some poetry or something left-handed, and what comes out, I can barely read, but it's very creative, and it doesn't feel like me because it's coming from a different part of me, right? And that's one way you can do it, right? Like getting up and just doing something different. Getting up and brushing your teeth with your left hand.
Yes.
Doing something different in your routine, because that breaks up the neural pathways.
Yes.
You girls are like, seriously. I mean, you guys are crushing it over there.
We're trying. We're trying to stop.
We're not trying, Nicole. We're doing it.
Actually, we're doing.
I say try all the
We
time.
are doing it.
We're doing it. But it's we now refer to it as tiny tweaks, because we notice that the feedback from our audience and the people that are in our membership, that we're all trying to cultivate this growth mindset and achieve that sort of lifelong learning and enlightenment together. We notice that and you see this with everyone. Okay, this is perfect. New Year's resolutions. Okay. Everyone thinks that to improve your life, you need to sell your house, move to a different country, buy a new wardrobe, flip the tables, and it's got to be this massive change. But it's a tiny tweak. It's tiny little, like you said, brush your teeth with your left hand. Just do something different, and the ripple effect actually makes a difference, because all these little tiny things that you've been doing up until now have led you to the life you have right now. If you want a new life, do little tiny things every single day, and pretty soon that adds up, and next year you look totally different.
Yep.
It's the small things, right?
It's crazy.
Big time.
Yeah, we always laugh because the example that we always use is, I'm the worst. I grab my socks off the dryer and I don't put them on right away, and I bring them downstairs and I put them down somewhere, and then I've got to feed the kids and I got to get the kids to school, and we're trying to leave and I can't find my socks, right? Like, who's seen my socks? Where are my socks? Does anybody know where socks? We're late. Everybody's late. We're all looking for my socks. Everybody's frustrated because now we're late for school. We're late for school, then I'm late for an appointment. And it's if I could just remember and create this new little habit of when I take my socks off the dryer and put them on my feet, I can prevent all of that added chaos in my life. And let me tell you, I now do that because I know that that was the one little thing that was so simple that I just wasn't paying attention to, because I was living my life. I wasn't consciously living my life.
You weren't consciously living your life. You were what is it? It's like the heart beating, right? It just does it on itself. So you get this blur.
My subconscious was just, in control of everything.
Autopilot.
Consciously, yeah.
And that's the awareness, right?
It is the
What are the
conscious
little
awareness.
things
It's
that I
like
can
driving,
do?
right? Like you drive down the road and you don't remember how you
100%.
got there, because you've been thinking about all the, you've cussed out your boss, or that coworker that you despise. Like you've cussed them out in so many different ways, and you're like, holy shit, how did I get here? You're having conversations that haven't even happened in your mind.
You rehearse them. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Now you go to work. You're pre-mad before you get to work. For what?
Pre-mad.
For what? Like maybe you walk in and that person is now having a lovely day. They might be having a hard life, and that's why they've been grumpy for the last month. But you don't know what you don't know.
You
We spend so much time assuming. You
don't know what other people's storms are, right? You don't know what storms are in.
You don't even know the rain is happening for somebody else, never mind the storm, because we hide everything, especially from our colleagues. Like, you don't need to air your business everywhere, but if you're struggling and it's coming out in, you're frustrated and a little short-tempered because you're not sleeping because you're taking care of an elderly parent or something. I mean, people don't need to know, but they also shouldn't assume.
Love that. What, man, this conversation got me fired up. So your podcast, I've been following it on Instagram. I've been looking at a lot of your titles of episodes, and I have to say, like, I am very, very intrigued by the content you guys are putting out.
Thank you.
I feel like wasn't it very businessy at first? Like it was very,
it's still our
interviews. Beginning.
I mean, I feel like it's a little bit more, it's getting like right where I'm at, right? Like that very,
okay, look. I'm telling you, we've changed some things. Some things have changed. So yes, back when in March of 2020, Laura and I did come out of doing a lot of leadership training and core skills training in our heart of hearts, our little entryway into the organizations, because that's where the biggest amount of people are. You can impact a lot of people if you kind of go in through the business way, which is great. We just wanted people to know that this kind of feeling and thinking and being was possible. But we went in with core skills training, which is a lovely corporate positioning. Things like time management, accountability, presentation, communication, the way you think and your mindset, like important things. So when the pandemic hit, we kind of pivoted to continue this work online. And we started to interview some really smart people, of which one is Mr. Trey. And we started to get these insights. And as we continue to interview these really smart people, we thought there's some commonalities here. And we interviewed 120 people last year. They're not all out, like published, but we've interviewed over 100 people. And we looked at all the commonalities, which is why in September, we started doing our early morning show. And then in October, we started live streaming it. So now we had both of those on our YouTube channel. Plus, we have our teaching podcast, which we've had running since February of last year. So there's a lot of stuff that we're doing.
You guys are just exploding.
Listen,
we have
we're committed.
So much fun. We have so much fun. Though,
what's your favorite? What's your favorite part of it? Like, what's your favorite part of it?
For me, well, my passion's always been, and I'll say it 100 million times, I just love having conversations, especially with strangers, because I just have so much to learn. And there's just, I feel it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You have a story in you, and I want to know it.
How do you bring it out in people, though? Like, how do you bring it out? How do you bring it out?
Well,
it can be tough. Trust me, I've had some conversations where I'm like pulling teeth. I'm like, come on, give me something, brother. Come on.
Well, then we've been very lucky then.
Yeah.
I've spent a lifetime talkers.
I've spent a lifetime asking people all sorts of stuff, because I'm just so interested. Like I find it fascinating, and I'm not afraid to ask questions that I think some people would be uncomfortable with, because we're human, we're all human. We're all the same.
It's true.
But we all have lived a different life, and we all have created different stories, and we all, experience different things, and we all interpret different conversations differently. And,
Sure.
and that's, I think, what fascinates me the most. You know, Nicole knows this about me. I love recognizing differences in people. Even in Nicole and myself, you know, Nicole loves to explain. I love to simplify. It just when you start to recognize and really understand who a person is that you're talking to, and you get good at it, you start to understand how to interact with them, and that's when you can really build.
Did you guys grow up
relationships.
together? Were you guys been
No.
lifelong friends? No. How long have you
No,
guys?
we
been
only
hanging
met
out?
we met a few years ago because we had a mutual client. I had my own agency, Laura had hers, and we met just totally accidentally because of a shared client. And like that was it.
It's history.
It wasn't even that long ago. I was like,
Because you guys have like
wanna
really
work
good
with you.
chemistry. Like you guys have really good chemistry. Like you
We
mesh.
crack each other up.
Yeah.
We
I can just
do.
watch, like I can just sit
We
here
laugh a lot.
You guys
Honestly,
take over
okay.
my show. Go ahead. Just go ahead and I'll watch you guys talk.
If we want to talk about our favorite thing, honestly, the ridiculousness of the 6, I can't get my time right. The early morning experience.
The morning show.
To think about a year and a half ago that we would be live streaming at 6 in the morning, talking about cognitive neuroscience and emotional intelligence and how to take action during the day. And today's example involved the Care Bears, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You would not have, like, I would have said, like, what are you talking about? That doesn't sound like me. But this is me and I am loving it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's too good. I look forward to 6 a.m. like you have no idea. Like it's Christmas morning every morning.
I think, and you know, today is a perfect example of, so I was in downtown Toronto. There's a huge billboard from one of the hospitals in Toronto that deals with a lot of mental health concerns. And the billboard says, every 40 seconds, one person takes their life.
Wow. Nobody ever talks about that. Like nobody talks about that. They're always talking about homicide rates. They're talking about, you know, different things, right? Nobody talks about the suicide rate.
Well, and this is pre-pandemic
We do
rates.
all the time.
That's
we
good.
do all the time.
Pre-pandemic rates.
Yeah.
And because they've gone up.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
So, and Nicole and I always say, like, life is really friggin' hard, right? Like, it's hard. And if someone tells you it's not hard, then I said this morning, don't be their friends because they're lying to you.
I want to read the book they read,
right?
They wrote, because they know how to make life easy.
Or smoke whatever reefer they got. Like something's going on there.
That Pepsi in the morning.
But we finished that with, you know, life is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. And, you know, we're on a mission to say to everybody, you know, we go out there and believe me, like I have so many different hats. Trey, I can't even like
literal.
I got a banana hat. I got a Peppa Pig hat.
This woman showed up in a shark one morning.
You got a hat with you
and
right
I turned on the screen. I don't even know what I'm going to see.
What kind of hat do you want? Like, I mean,
oh God,
are we ready?
There you go. Say Patty's Day, baby.
But it's just, you know, you can just have fun and it's okay. And you can talk about really smart things and have fun.
Yes.
And you can talk about really hard things and have fun. It doesn't have to be so heavy. It's the simple things like figuring out that you need to put your socks on and not set them down somewhere so that you lose them. It's the little things that change your life.
One of, up until very recently, our most successful early morning show on YouTube, like views, engagement, comments, feedback, was the show that we did while we were going through Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Bleep.
A bleep?
A what?
It's the F word.
It's the F word.
Oh,
okay.
The subtle art of not giving a bleep.
We have the cover. We were covering that book. We were on the last chapter, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Bleep.
Okay.
The last chapter is about, the title of it, if I'm not mistaken, is And Then You Die.
And then you die. Yeah.
Life is hard and then you die.
And then you die.
I don't think we've laughed as much. People live in the chat, the replay, the DMs we got, we were talking about the fact that, guys, we're all going to go. So what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
Why worry about being gone when you're here right now? You can think about and talk about and laugh. And I think that's something that I really appreciate and I'm grateful for,
Sure.
is the fact that intelligence doesn't equal stuffy. A difficult conversation doesn't mean you can't have any happy emotions, that the optimism has to go out the window in order to be taken seriously or for your message to be heard. I think we need a little levity sometimes.
Yeah.
And it helps, period. It just helps.
Yeah, no, I think I love that you guys are doing mental health awareness. Like I don't think you can do enough of that. I think the pandemic has exposed us in areas that we need to put more focus on, like mental health and obviously abuse and things like that.
Yeah.
But like you're right on, right? And then we die. So what is
And then we
what
die.
and then we die. And like why are we so fearful of what to like go after in our lives? Like why is it? Oh, it's because of the programming that we've had, right? Like, oh, I'm so scared to go after that because what if I fail and people don't like me or I become poor? It's like these are just things that the ego are telling you because it's comfortable where you're at right now.
Oh,
That's
totally.
what you know. It's what you know.
Yeah.
And you're rehearsing the same script over and over again. You're not writing a new one because it's easier to not write a new one, but actually it's not easier. And in the end, the only person that's really, really getting hurt is you. You are the only person that has the control and the power to destroy yourself.
You have the power to destroy yourself, but you also have the power for liberation. It's like,
see, that's the exciting part.
Yeah. It's like driving from Baltimore to California or Baltimore to Toronto. I know that I'm going to get there if I drive, right? Like I can map out my plan or map out my drive and I can go. I don't turn around when I hit Chicago because I'm afraid that I'm not going to get to Toronto. I know that I'm going to get to Toronto. It's just going to take time and action. And that's the thing people don't understand is it takes time over action. There's a graph. I can build you right now. It's just like this, going straight up to the right corner. Time, it's got to take time, but you got to put in the action for things to change. And you just have
One of the best examples, and I think of the three of us, we've all heard this. You don't get fit in a day. Like I can't go to the gym today, work out really, really hard. Like I'm there 8 hours all day. And now,
wow, you're buff.
I'm an Instagram model. Watch
Instagram
out. I'm now a
famous.
fitness expert. I put 8 hours in. I'm done. Like that's it. Done.
Yeah.
The reverse, I also don't wake up one morning and I forget to work out. And now I'm completely out of shape. My muscle mass is gone. My cardiovascular capacity is nil. Like you need to do this a lot to get to the place you're at.
Sure.
Like you need to be unfit and unhealthy for like a long time to become unfit and unhealthy. And the reverse is true. And it's the same for any habit. And this is why Laura and I joke about the neural pathways being paved in cement. Yeah, it's going to be hard to break all that stuff apart and break those apart and unplug. I think it was Nat in the chat that said, unplug the lamp and plug it in a different socket. That's how the neural pathways are.
Yeah.
Take it, like unplug it and plug it in somewhere else that works.
Yeah. And, we show everybody every day how hard it is because, some days, oh my God, like
some days it's not cute.
So tired, like just so tired. It
cracks me up. You guys get the 5
deadly.
and they're at 6. It takes you guys an hour to get focused. Is that what it is? Or is it like...
No, actually, Laura walks her dog and listens to lovely music, etc. I don't have a dog, so what I do is I do my morning stretches. Oh, that's another thing. Stretching as a grown-up changes your life. If anyone takes anything from this conversation, for the love of God, stretch.
Right.
But I do my morning stretches. I do my morning affirmation process that I do. I may or may not do some journaling. By the time I'm done, Laura's back from her 40-minute walk, and then we sit down and
40-minute dog
we live
walk?
stream.
It's awesome.
If
like
I don't
30
walk that
to
dog
40.
that much, he's 6.5 months, man.
Oh,
Archie will bark through the whole thing.
Archie, and sometimes Archie does bark through things. Believe me.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Listen, we're really good at following what works. Dr. Ben said, make or break your life between 5 and 7. So we said, okay, giddy up. Trey Down said, read Dr. Joe. Okay, giddy up.
We're going to read it. We're going to do it because we're doers.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are just the shining example of like taking your lives in your own hands and just, crushing it, right? Like, I mean, that's why I love what you guys are about. I love talking to you guys. Like, I just feel like,
Thank you. We
you
feel the
guys
same.
inspire me, just,
Mhm.
I think that, you guys have this great vibe. You have this great podcast. Now you guys are going live and live streaming. And I think that people
Fun.
it's fun. And you're enjoying it and you're enjoying the journey and you're
Yeah.
helping people and you're bringing awareness to mental health. And I mean, could you ever imagine in the last year that you guys would be where you're at today?
Gosh, I look back and, we look back at each other and say,
Yeah.
because, one of the things that Dr. Ben Hardy says, you want to spend the year and then look back and think, who is that person? Like not even recognize yourself. And I think one of the things that's really important to understand is there are times when we are really negative. We are not always positive. We have a strategy called the pity party clock. So it's not always positive sunshine, Care Bear hugs everywhere. We do have moments where we just, want to sucker punch somebody in the throat, but it's that stepping back and saying, hey, not the right time. Or if I need the time to process the stuff and the chaos and all of the, what is it? It's mind garbage that we need to deal with.
Clear it out.
We set ourselves the time and allow ourselves the time because we also need to be very kind to ourselves. The thing that is the most important is that we can always see an optimistic future. And I think that is the greatest struggle today, that we've been so removed from the communities that we're used to being in. There's been so much forced change on us, and people aren't good with change to start with. That we really need to step back and be kind and allow ourselves to experience, but we also need to put a limit on that.
Sure.
And then start to work on ourselves on the things that we want to achieve. So it's not all rainbows and unicorns and sunshine, and it's hard, man. And like I said before, life is hard.
Life is hard.
It just is. And that's okay. Because if you don't know hard, then you don't know soft, right? Like,
well, you also don't know growth and learning. And to be honest, no, I don't think standing at the top of 2020 last year, Laura and I would have been like, oh, we're going to be the host of 2 podcasts. We're going to live stream 5 days a week. We're going to be doing all the, because back then we were still of the mindset of sort of the traditional path, like doing the corporate learning and
training.
Somewhere over here in the subconscious was like, maybe we would like to do more speaking instead. We love facilitating. We love working with people. We love cheering people on. We love bringing people up. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Then the pandemic hit and we kind of looked at each other and went, now or never, buddy.
Nobody's doing anything. Let's do whatever we want.
What are we doing?
Because I knew we would do something.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we are different people today.
And it all started
so
with
happy.
small steps. It just with a conscious decision that I'm going to do something different today.
1% better every day.
Yeah.
It's
1%. That's all we want.
Removing fear of judgment for me. That was
probably. Do you want to know?
Yeah. Tell them.
That the absolute full-blown, full-on panic attack that I had when we were trying to go live. Laura and I had been trying to go live for quite a long time before we actually did it in October. I physically couldn't do it. I had such a block, just this, I built it up to be something that it absolutely wasn't. And guys, I've been on video for coming on 10 years now. I've been on like 5 YouTube channels. I used to do course creation on video for a living. For some reason, the thought of going live paralyzed me. And I had a massive panic attack on the first time
it was bad.
It.
It was bad.
Really bad.
So during the live, you had this panic attack?
No, we were trying to go live
during the testing.
We couldn't figure out if it was live. And Nicole is a recovering. Well, I quite recovered yet, but Nicole is a perfectionist. So, things, not having your hair perfect and not presenting perfectly, and it all comes to me fear of judgment. I got over myself really quickly.
Totally.
Nicole was like, you need to do some videos. So I sent her some videos and she's like, they're great. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm over it. Let's keep going. Let's go live. And she's like, well, I don't know. And then we were actually invited to be guests on a show. And she was like, I said, do you want me to just do it on my own? And she's like, yes. And I didn't know why.
Well,
and
yeah,
then
I was not having it.
And you didn't tell me for a little while that it was because you were absolutely terrified of going live. And I couldn't really understand it because, I mean, my God, the number of videos that we have produced for training is ridiculous.
Yeah, but see, it feeds into my ability to be perfect because I can edit. Video, like live, you can't edit. And that terrified me.
Well, how are you doing right now? Like, Nicole, with how are you feeling with this?
Honestly,
this is I mean, I guess it's because this isn't live. I don't know. Does that affect you?
Oh, we could be live right now. No, I'm over it now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 100%, 5 days a week now for months. Like, I'm good.
But it was bad.
I had to get through it. I genuinely had to face my fear, feel the feelings, think about why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Why was I so bloody scared when I've been on video all the time? It can't be the fact that I'm on video. What was it? It was that fear of judgment and the loss of control. What if something happens when we're live? What if I make a mistake? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I can't get the words out? What if my hair doesn't look perfect? What if the lighting isn't perfect? So it was that fear of making the mistakes. And again, just through all the learning and work that we've done, it's understanding that I'm my biggest critic. I'm the one that's judging the hardest. So I need to cut it out.
And how did you
practice
do
making
it, right? You just did it.
Just did it. Yes. And listen, I have a bestie with me. I have my business partner with me that is supportive. So having accountability, and that's the other reason why Laura and I continue to go live every morning. I think we've said it like 3 times now. This is hard, but you don't have to be alone. So we want to show up for people.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, we're lucky. We have each other. There's a lot of solopreneurs out there.
Yeah.
And we reach out every time that we meet someone who is a solopreneur. We're like, we check in on them.
Hugs.
We're here. You need us.
Text them.
You want to just call us and just unload. We're here because you don't have to do it alone because it is a scary journey alone.
It is.
Yeah.
You need that
Very
support.
So I think we're different people.
Yeah.
I think we're very different people.
Yeah, you guys are great. I don't want this to be over. How can people find out more about you? Where can they go to find out more about what you guys are up to?
If you're in the Eastern time zone, you can join us at 6 a.m., 6:30 actually starting next week, just because we have kids at home being homeschooled and it's a little bit difficult. On YouTube, Bear Slate, BareSlate. You can find us at Bear Slate on every social media platform out there. Clubhouse, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, it's all Bear Slate. Or the website, it's bearslate.ca because we are Canadian.
The ladies from the north.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
right.
last question, kind of a big one. I'll start with Nicole first because she's first on my screen. Nicole, what do you want your legacy to be?
I thought you were going to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? But I was going to say, that's a great question. I love that so much.
But what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be even more secure in myself. I want that peace. I want what Dr. Zach Mercurio calls joy, because joy is happiness detached from circumstances, which I think sounds amazing. I just want to be that continued, self-assured, calm person that just loves life and is grateful for every day that I'm breathing. And my legacy, I hope, in part, because Laura and I record pretty much everything that we do all day long, that our message and our little Canadian sunshine spreads and hits as many people as possible for as long as possible.
Love that. Laura, you're up. What do you want to be when you grow up, and what's your
well,
legacy?
I always wanted to be a soap opera actress.
Oh my
This is true.
goodness.
Because I just love to perform.
Right? Behind the shoulder. What do you mean?
So I get to do that in the morning now. I get to be theatrical, but in all honesty, I want to be known as someone who was always kind, who always recognized people and inspired and encouraged them to be themselves. I mean, if I can achieve success in my life, that looks like every person that I interact with every day feels compassion, empathy, and love from me. And if I can deliver that, then I have succeeded.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
Drop the mic on that one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because it's so important. Kindness is so important, and there's not enough. There's so much. I always say there are so many mirrors staring at us right now. It is unbelievable. We see so many things that lead us to have to be a certain way or look a certain way or perform a certain way or achieve a certain thing. And we spend so much of our time with our dark passengers telling us that we need that, and we need this, and we need that. And we don't need any of that. What we need is someone to be kind to us, someone to recognize us, someone to say, wow, thank you for living your life on purpose because it contributed to mine. That's what we need. And if we can start to build more of that, then we've won. And that's it for me.
I love it. We definitely won tonight. You guys came here and slayed this conversation. Laura and Nicole, this has been an honor. I guess I'm not just saying that. Like this has been one of the better conversations. I think around emotional intelligence, around mental awareness, around the idea that we are in charge of our destinies, right? Like how we view that and how we interpret that is very important to just become more aware that we are in charge. And I love when you guys, I don't know, you bring that vibe, you bring that that Canadian vibe. I love it. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you for joining.
So I have to leave you with a dead guy quote, right? Because we love dead guy quotes. Right. And one of my absolute favorite dead guy quote is, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. Dr. Seuss.
You know who said that?
Dr. Seuss. That is amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Trey.